Hi everybody, I'm doing a 30-minute session for Lush. We are going to continue doing energy work for his shoulder. All right. I'm going to put a link in the description to the previous session where I was also prompted to do light language. It's like pushing me to getting outside of myself, doing it differently. And it's about self-expression while also doing some incredible healing with Source. Super worth checking out. So I'll put a link in the description. Lush, thank you so much for giving me so many opportunities to connect with you. And thank you for sharing with us here on YouTube. It's really fun to see what we're going to experience and learn and discover next. All right, so you say for our next session, can we do a healing style session with Source, shoulder part 2? You got it. All right, Source, shoulder, part 2. Do you think I'm going to be doing light language again? Do you think it's going to be totally different than last time? Like, you just don't know. Like, let's just see what comes up, right? All right, here we go. Shoulder, part 2 with Source. Oh, I'm going down a really long and skinny hallway. It's like literally walking down a thin black line, and you just kind of create a very narrow dimensional experience, okay? And you just walk through that hallway. I don't like this hallway at all. I mean, I feel like I am just on the right side and on the left side. It's like there's something that I have to face, and it's uncomfortable. And because this path is so narrow, I can't exactly turn to look to the right or turn to look to the left. And so I am forced to just kind of gravitate down, like just keep moving straight ahead to where I'm not sure, like what's at the end of this. I don't know. I got the impression maybe this path was like my path to Source, but this is actually the first message. They want me to try to interpret what the right side looks like, and they want me to interpret what the left side looks like, okay? This has to do with your shoulders. So the right is actually kind of a reddish, pinkish color, more on the red hue. And there seems to be, I mean, it's got a face with really big lips, and it's kind of funny. Like, it makes me want to laugh. It seems to be a wooden sphere with big lips. Maybe it was carved out of the same piece of wood, but it's like it's trying to carve a face. And it's kind of funny. The face does have eyes, and it's just silently looking at me with a big smile. Oh, gross. It's actually, there's something gross beneath the surface of this, and it feels like ripped and torn. It feels like chunks. It feels like gravelly chunks. What I do is I actually remove the spherical wooden head. I do. It feels like there's a multitude of these in every direction, almost like duplicated. If I were to go like straight ahead or turn my back and go the other way, it's the same face. Like, it's just the same head again and again and again, like forever in every direction. And so I just remove them all. And this makes me very uncomfortable, to be honest. There's a liquid built up here, and it's full of, there's an electrical current in it. It feels like that light language was a major rattle and shake of your energy, because it definitely popped some things out, and there's the next level of going deeper into this. There's no doubt about that. I see something that doesn't ever want to heal. It says that it's never going to heal. This is on the right side. That's what it's saying to me. I keep seeing broken pieces, cut, like snapped. Like I see flat, really thin piece of bone, like something your dog could chew on, but it's like a chip, and it just bop, just it comes apart into two pieces, and I can hear what is the sound of a bone break. Source is asking me to go deeper, 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 deeper. And as soon as I try to go deeper, I hit, it's like the ground does not want to break. Doesn't want to break. And even I see an image of a jackhammer won't even break this ground. So I just put source energy into this ground. And the ground absorbs source, source absorbs the ground. There's a lot of angry faces. There's a lot of, I feel pissed off. I feel angry in my heart. I feel like I'm even clenching my fists and putting them up. I feel really mad. I feel like I'm not going to take this anymore. When do you know when to open your hands and to put your fists down? Like, you just opened hands. Like, it's when do you stop having a fist? Like, when do you just open your hands and just relax your arms? Like, when do you know that you don't have to be angry anymore? Like, when do you know when it's okay to not be angry anymore? Because this is emanating from your heart, and it's emanating from your emotional gut, and it's like this anger has purpose forevermore. Forevermore, it has purpose to be angry. And it doesn't have to be angry at all. It does not have to be angry. Things are starting to dry up, and I don't like how it's drying up. It's kind of like dust is collecting in a weird way. That's creating kind of like fabricy particle dust with hairs in it. And it's kind of surrounding what is, I don't know, I feel like it's supposed to be edible food, but who wants to eat food that's covered in like the dust like this? It's like lint and hair, and it just kind of built up in a little bumble, and it's kind of draped on everything, and it's a very small crevice of a space. It's all dried up, and I don't like how it's dried up. And it's really sharp. It makes me think of a tortilla chip. It's like a triangle shape, and it's got this really sharp tip. So I'm just going to put source in this. I'm just going to let it absorb source, and source absorbs it. Because the dust is even disappearing, but it all feels kind of dirty, like food that you wouldn't want to eat because it fell in a dust pile. But I don't see all the fluff like it was. And again, I enter into anger. That doesn't ever want to stop being angry. Because it needs to get the final say, and it needs to be heard. If it doesn't get the final say, if it's not heard, then it's not fulfilled. It didn't get to complete its exchange. So it lingers in a place where it is forever trying to make the final statement that is never going to be heard. And you could say it's not fair to you, but what are you going to do about that? What if you are never, what if the opposing side is never going to receive your viewpoint? And that's only going to make you angrier, right? And no matter how much time passes, they refuse to change. They refuse to ever hear you. They refuse to ever acknowledge you. They refuse to ever say you were right or I was wrong, or even care about your side of the story. They refuse. So it's only going to make you angrier and angrier and angrier. And eventually, just how do you let it go? How do you let the anger go? All right, we're moving forward, but again, it's a very tight space with another sharp point. And I feel like I have to face this really sharp point that wants to hurt me. It wants to literally drill into my head. It wants to drill into my face. But I'm going to block this here because... Okay, my guide's saying no. Because I feel like enough is enough. And now you're going to be drilled into. You're going to be drilled into. And it's like somebody yelling in your face. And you're going to be drilled into. And it literally is like a drill going really fast around a sharp point that's drilling into your face. And it's just hurting you. It's weird. It's like we don't realize that, like, I guarantee anybody can imagine this, a parent or a type of person who is so angry that the only thing they can do is literally yell. It's almost like barf all their energy into your face and force feed you all of this pain and all of this hate and push it inside of you and get it entirely out of their system and force you to receive it. And because you're a kid and this is your parent, like, you have to just take it. And that's not correct. That is not right. You know what's nice though is because we're talking about this is giving this an opportunity to shift energetically. It's not so much about drill into your face. It's not about pain. It's actually kind of softening up, believe it or not. So the drill is slowing down to a stop. You feel really worn out and exhausted. This is really turning into what seems like, phew, okay, we can breathe again. Actually desecrated. I feel like violated. What if you're a kid and you have a parent screaming their barf down your throat, down into your face, down into your system, and you're forced to digest it? It actually goes straight into your sacral chakra. And that's your sexual body, right? But it's about how you feel loved, how you love the pleasures of life. And because it's a parent-child relationship, it does impact the balance of your most sacred self, your most sacred sense of self. So now that the drill has done its job, it has desecrated your most sacred sense of self. And you can't get it out of your system. But what I see, oddly enough, is a drill completely disappears and it's done its job. And now you're left as like a less than yourself, less than you were, because you vibrationally just took a plunge into the pits, okay? I feel like the pits. You weren't the pits. Then you had to endure this. Now you're the pits. It's like you took the burden off of them and it desecrated yourself with it. Not because you wanted to or you meant to, it just happened that way. Ew. The next thing, you reflect both male and female, and the female side of you has a baby, and the baby is full of like a black, gross, bulbous junk. It's squishable. It's more like a slime texture. There's a lot of it. There's ugliness. I feel ugly. I feel stupid. I feel meaningless. I feel worthless. I hate my life. I hate myself. But I say that, these sharp points are disappearing. It's almost like that was part of your lesson to get desecrated. And now the next part of your lesson is to undo the desecration. Your sacral chakra just completely falls out of your body. That's what this giving birth of the feminine was, just birthing out the sacral chakra. And then the male side also, the sacral chakra just drops out. And it's weird. It's like a yo-yo on a string that just like hangs and it just like drags on the ground. It's really weird. Meaningless, worthless piece of crap. The male and the female side echo this as they say it at the exact same time. Meaningless, worthless piece of crap. As the sacral chakra just drags on this dirty, rocky ground. And it's getting scratched and it's getting dirty. And it doesn't matter because I don't matter. This is what's stored in your shoulder. On the right side, this is what I'm walking into. I want to see what the left side looks like because there are parallels to everything, okay? You don't want to heal it because you've become, this is now who you are. It's like if your brightest self was a bird and your most dismal self is an earthworm, it's like, well, I am an earthworm now, so I will remain an earthworm until I die and become something else. So as a bird, you died and became an earthworm. Now this emotional state of the earthworm self must endure life as this earthworm until it dies and becomes something else. And it's just the next emotional state. How do you just shift and shift and shift so quickly as though like what you went through didn't even happen, but it did happen. You did go through it. And now you're just supposed to pop into this next person like, I'm happy now. It just isn't realistic. Like, healing takes time, but how much time? I mean, you can just become another side of yourself if you want to. It just will feel like violating of what you went through and the way that made you feel and what you want to, how you want to process those feelings. If you actually want to process those feelings by staying in a low point for a while, the next 50 years of your life or something, or just 5 years, we don't know. You get to decide. It just feels like it's violating of the process. It's like somebody you really love dies and you just feel like celebrating every day. And people are like, what's wrong with you? How come you're not sad? Well, they died. I have to move on with my life eventually. But it's the very next day. I know. So why is that a problem for you? I'm freaking celebrating and I'm not going to cry a tear or feel any flutter of loss at all in my heart. Because I'm just going to be happy every single day for the rest of my life now. They died. But they were the love of your life. Like, aren't you kind of feel strange without them there? It's like life is complex. And we genuinely feel many sides of each experience, And so, but just talking about this is already, you're picking the yo up off the ground and you're putting your sacral chakra back where it goes. And it feels really nice. And I see the female and male sides, they hug each other and they say we have each other. No matter what we go through, we always have each other. And I see them hug and they become kind of like an orb. But something's not quite right. They're not necessarily balanced. I feel like their energy is becoming one of these many pieces of rock or gravel. This strange wooden face that's always smiling. It doesn't really have much of it doesn't really mean much other than what it looks like. I don't feel good about this reflection of the man and the woman. I feels it was kind of nice at first, but it feels that when they become one orb, it feels really intolerant. It feels really violating. It's almost like now the one that drilled all this energy down your throat into your sacral chakra, separated the male-female sides. They went through this sort of long process of feeling worthless, only to pick themselves up again and then to find each other. And now they have each other to become one. Actually recreates the original event. So their relationship becomes a reflection of pain and suffering until they both lose their sacral chakras, and it's like you're stuck in this never-ending loop. And what does this have to do with your shoulder? It's interesting because pain it can be an emotional buildup. This happens to be the place where you chose to store it. Who chose to store it? Which part of you? You actually consciously chose to store it there? No, it just happened to be attracted to that location. I don't know why. Maybe because the emotional hurt, maybe you're trying to work through it with physical pain. And maybe this was something you're trying to put behind you. Maybe you're even trying to store it in a hiding place, like under your shoulder, bone or something. But it's got to come out eventually, because this emotional stuff is going to have to get resolved. Maybe this is the best we knew what to do with it, right? Like, the parts of you that are kind of influencing the movement is the best at that. If vibrationally this was the right direction for it all. It's funny, like, it's happening again. So we're talking about this is already making things feel better. Just talking about it is already making things feel better. I still feel there's a lot of rocky energetic material here, and it's gravelly and it hurts. And so I'm going to do what I can to reduce the sound of that pain, okay? Because I don't feel like it's about this man and the woman. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like we've moved beyond that all of a sudden, and we're looking at new things. And it goes back to the rocks, okay, and the gravel. I put source so that source is a part of every one of these rocks. And these rocks are horrid. Like, when the spirit of source goes into these rocks want to become just like fighters, like angry. They just kind of come up and out of the ground as spirits that are very angry and unresolved, emotionally unresolved. So again, still emotional conflict stored in here. And they look ghoulish. They look gross. They look like Halloween, okay, in action in a movie setting. Like, it's ghoulish, gross faces, gross things. It's like source is bringing to life what we need to face here. Because it's like, I can't just make it so it just goes away. I would love to do that, but part of life is facing things that are hard to look at. And so source is helping you to face some things that are hard to look at. That's why it's like I put source in this gravel thinking, hopefully it just transmutes it, but now it's turning into these ghostly ghouls, and it's like scary stuff, like uncomfortable stuff that needs to be faced in order for this to properly heal. So we're looking at it. We're talking about it. And I'm going to bring you up to a much higher vibrational space, because I feel like let's move out of the pits, because I'm starting to notice that part of your aspect is still in the pits, okay? And as we move up vibrationally, it'll affect everything. Because it's going to give you more of a harmonious edge to face this without falling into the pits, okay? Because if you're going to face it while you're in the pits, it's a lot harder than if you face it when you're feeling on top of the world. When you're on top of the world, you actually genuinely know what is most important, and you're able to organize your emotions in ways you don't fall into the rut and then stay in the rut. You actually feel on top of the world, and it's like easy to let things go, easy to not dwell, easy to not complain, because it's like a freeing sensation where you can be genuinely happy. All right, Source and you has Source and these ghouls now. Like, everything's connected to Source, right? We're all part of Source. But I see Source is standing with you to help you face some uncomfortable things stored in your shoulder. And you become a little person, like 2 or 3 years old. And you don't have a concept of, like, I just feel a sense like, I'm just trying to understand, like, and it's not much in the way of thinking, so much as the way of just an intuitive action. But there is a perception of sorts, like something's not right here. Something is opening my eyes to something is not right here. But there's not holding on to it, but it's like the seed planted. They say it plants because it sparks this young person to feel fear. Even if it is only briefly explored in the moment, the fear, it's like gives them an opportunity to revisit it at all ages of their life. And it could span back to one moment when you saw mom and dad arguing with each other, made you feel afraid at age 2 because you didn't understand why they weren't loving one another. So that can make all the difference for the rest of your life. I mean, that's why we need to be supportive of every human being. Somehow, some way, we need to get everybody out of the pits so all of our children can be in environments where there's less a likelihood for these seeds of fear to be planted, because it just doesn't need to happen anymore. So it's telling me that there were some seeds of fear that could have been innocently planted or purposefully planted by your parents, because you're part of themselves. They're working through themselves through you. You are growing up to continue to work on what is now like a generational, historical one, from one parent to the next parent to the next parent to the next parent, an insecurity that hasn't resolved in like 500 years or something in the body of your heritage, you know? Like, it's pretty crazy. And again, you stored it in your shoulder. Let me go to the left side. I just don't feel like going to the left side for some reason, but I want to give it a chance because it really emanates a really deep blue, purpley color. It's really pretty. I feel like I have no eyes. Like, they're kind of cut somehow for some reason. Like, maybe there's a dusty wind and the dust is like sand that's kind of ripping into my eyes. It's hurting my eyes to see in here. I say it's okay. I feel like the relationship between the left and right sides need to come into harmonious balance with each other. I'm going to remove this line that separates them. So they don't have to be right or left. They can just be like your body. And I hear some weird whispers of like spirits that are really angry by this idea of mine, because it's desecrating the sacred, it's like geometry balance, like of the human body. Like that's a lot of BS in my opinion, because yes, there's sacred geometry, yes, there's right and left sides, and yes, there is oneness that has no definition. So all exist. I feel like these are just bickering rocks themselves. They want to be high and mighty and above everybody else, like they flipping know something, but really they're just wanting you to see one side of things and not all sides of things, because that one side makes them feel smart. So if everybody believes in just this one side, they could be the smartest person about this one side because they feel smart about this one side, when really they're creating walls and encouraging people to not look around, to not see the bigger picture of all sides. So they're just shallow jerks that seem to know something about sacred geometry. They're just rocks as well, gravel. But they're really projected up and above, you know. It's kind of interesting. Why are they up there? Like, are they high vibrational beings? They're jerks. Why are they up there, you know? But they're just kind of projected up there. They want to feel important, like they matter. So if I remove them, then they don't matter anymore. Then you don't need rocks. So they could be paralleling the rocks on the right side. It's just a different bickering issue. You know what I mean? You know what? It's getting quieter, and they're like a balloon that we just released, and they can go wherever they want. Your left side feels a lot like it's just released a bunch of weight. Like it feels like really easy, really light, really simple. I'm going to literally mirror these sides into each other, and so they're one, okay? I just want to see what happens when I do this, just curious. So the right instantaneously breathes fire into the left and then blames the left for everything the right had endured. And the left is like, wow, I haven't seen you in a long time. And the right's like, bah! The left's like, what? I didn't know any of this was going on here. I'm so sorry. And so they're having a conversation right now. Interestingly enough, all the rocks don't have as much importance anymore because these two are working this out. They're working through this. And I feel like the left can be there to support the right more than ever before. And when the right just gives in to the left, then the left can support the right in a way that the right has needed for a long time. And believe it or not, it's like the left kind of vibrates like it's masculine, the right kind of vibrates like it's feminine. And the woman is really mad that the man hasn't been there for her on the level she's needed. But the man is really not aware that anything was going on. So, and genuinely so. Like, it didn't want her to be in pain. It wasn't quite aware because there was always this like barrier between them. And it comes back to the original orb, like, wow, this isn't going to work. But I see this as just the ascended version of the original drilling into the face. And now this relationship that becomes a reflection of what once was, now is separated to the right and left shoulders with this barrier between them both. But they're starting to overcome this barrier and find harmony with one another in gratitude. This is actually way better than it's ever been before. And it's like Source is the one guiding you through all of this. The bird that falls to becoming the earthworm, that transforms into becoming the anteater, that transforms back into a bird again, but this time from like a sparrow into an eagle, you know? So it's like this ascended circulation of I'm here, I'm going to fall, and I'm going to grow into something more extraordinary than I was before. It's like this inevitable like is this inevitable circulation, right, of growth. So I still feel like there's tension, but now that we've got all this emotional and this underlining meaning out of the way, I can feel the physical body actually is really stressed out. It's nice to be able to just finally feel that. So it doesn't have to be about anything but the physical body. But we got to remove all this vibrational sound, so that way once that's gone and it can just be about the physical body, then now we can really get to the transformation of this. And I'm going to ask the body, do you need this anymore? What do you need to move on from this? What do you need support with? Body says, I need love. And so I put love, which is just source energy. It's unconditional. It's the oneness. It's all the souls and angels and the alien beings and the animals and everything in the universe. It's the fabric of all creation in oneness, in one harmony. It's like pure. It's the purest form of energy we've got. And so I place love into your whole body. Back and front, above, below, within, in all sacred directions. I'm going to just start to see that blood is circulating through both your shoulders, okay? In that way that this blood is actually like the shower or the bath, like it's cleansing things. It's allowed to come in now. It's allowed to really get in deep into the knots and the cracks and the crevices. It's allowed to rehabilitate. This is also impacting your sacral chakra. Big time. Because you feel genuinely cared about, genuinely cared for, genuinely valued. You feel it in your sacral chakra. So as this healing, this blood, this physical body interaction, and all of this movement is taking place, it's really impacting you to feel genuine love for yourself. And I see the spirit of this pain is actually just is like a dust coming out of you, okay? And I really place a lot of warmth here. I also feel like something that echoes back is like stress. When it comes to giving and receiving love, gets stored in your shoulders. And stress when it comes to, and we're talking about real love, like the love a child has for their parents, the love that a man has for a woman, or a woman for a woman, or whatever. Like but it's genuine. I love you, my soulmate level love, right? It moves mountains level love, okay? And again, your sacral chakra is playing a major role in how this energy is shifting and moving, and it's as it shifts and moves, it brings more light back into yourself, and you feel more harmonious love with yourself and harmonious love for everybody that you have ever met in your whole life. Doesn't matter how they treated you, because it's bringing to life the sort of innocent baby within you that loves unconditionally, you know? And as you're comforted and comfortable in that and in being that, it relaxes your shoulders. Well, it relaxes your shoulder blades, it relaxes your neck, it relaxes all of that energy in your spine. It allows you to exhale and to inhale. It's like a cleansing breath and the nourishing blood flow. And it takes the emotions and the memory and time out of the picture and allows the body to do its awesome work of just letting things flow. And then you reap the reward of feeling harmoniously, like in love with yourself and your life, and emanating light, genuine light, and feeling just unconditional love for every person in your life. You just feel incredibly bright. All right. Shoulders part 2 was really fun. No light language. I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much for sharing this experience with me and with others. I hope you all have a wonderful day.